I know just from chatting with you a few days ago, you were telling me since we last talked, the desperation of people has ramped up so much. What are you seeing happening all around you?
Yeah, all around us. I mean, it's the calls that we're receiving with people who are very desperate for food, and it's not just people; it's the communities. And so the amount of requests that we're getting to be able to provide food is continued to increase. And when we're talking about displaced people and fleeing, I mean, I was really trying to comprehend that word fleeing, and it doesn't really do it justice. As the people who are passing through our doors, one day they have their own jobs, they're taking their kids to school, they're taking their kids to sporting events, and the next day they're sheltering their child with their bodies in a room for 5 days, and then having to go to a subway system for 2 days to be able to be protected from the bombings, and then be traveling across the country to places that they have no idea where they're going to. I mean, we had people coming through our door here that hadn't eaten for 9 days, sitting down at our table to give them some food, and they can't even eat. Like it was even her birthday of all days, and she could not even eat food. So the level of desperation for people has continued to increase. And even with people who even stop by our houses, that's only the one of the last. One of the decisions that they need to make once they actually arrive here is where do they go and what do they do. And we've had families here in our home that have even had to decide where, if the family is going to be crossing the border and the men's going to stay. And so this has been, unfortunately, a common thing where it's been thousands of people who are being separated from their families and not knowing when they're actually going to be able to see each other again. So in terms of desperation, yeah, it is increased significantly, especially too with the requirement of food, because the supplies of them are decreasing all the time. So yeah, I don't know how to articulate it anymore, but the desperation continues to increase.
Yeah, I can't imagine those scenes. You're saying goodbye to your husband, your dad, your son. No idea if they will live, if you will ever see them again. You said to me when we talked a few days ago that you can't even cry anymore. Talk to me about the level of trauma that you're all experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to focus on myself, because it's what people are going through. Families coming through, and one of the biggest worries for a wife is that her son and husband would potentially be conscripted. We even did an interview with them, and 2 days later, her husband and son were conscripted into the army, and her husband is now on the front lines. So there's in terms of like the trauma of what people are going through. I don't want to focus on ourselves, because it just fails in comparison to what people are having to go through at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. But you say that you've seen God in the midst of all of this grief and terror. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, just from the start of it, even if I had the opportunity to share it about how we even end up in Ukraine in July to be here during this time. And our organization, Hungry for Life, has been working in Ukraine for 18 years. And we've established partnerships and relationships with churches all across the country. So when this happened, we weren't looking for people who we could utilize to help distribute things to people. We already knew all of them. We knew all of the churches within the country that we could trust to be able to get the food to all the people. And again, how this is such an incredible opportunity for people, if you can put it in a kingdom perspective. You have people this is their most darkest and desperate time in their entire lives. And we as a church have the opportunity to be this small light for people, the hands and feet for people who are passing through churches, who are being able to feed and to shelter them, for the ones who are even coming through our own homes, who don't know Jesus. It's an incredible opportunity during this extremely dark time to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We facilitated hundreds of people to come here to Ukraine from Canada, and a lot of people who we facilitated, we've heard the stories from them themselves, or even their grandparents, what it was like for them when they were fleeing from the eastern part of Ukraine when they were either younger or their parents, and the impact that organizations had on them to help them, like the MCC, to get them to relocate to different areas, and how that's continued to push them throughout their life and impacted them throughout their life. And here again, we're right here with that opportunity. We don't have the ability to help tens of thousands of people. We actually have the ability to help hundreds of thousands of people and simply lack the resources to do so. We have sent over 100 different sprinter vans to different locations, not exactly sprinter vans, but to 100 different locations across the country, including the crisis areas. And one of the hardest things that we just faced the last 2 days is that we had a driver fleeing from the crisis area, putting his own life at risk, coming to the warehouse while we have a large supply of food, except that we have such a demand for all the other areas of the country that we could only load it up to 80%. And here he is having to take that and drive it back and risking his life to distribute to people. So again, some of the largest needs that we have, again, is the resources to be able to provide for people who are even risking their lives to give to other people. So I know that's long-winded, but it's what we're seeing. It's what's going on here. It's what the opportunity that the church has to be the church during people's darkest times.
I can't imagine what it's like to be there, to have the supply line set up, to have people willing to risk their lives to get it into conflict zones, and then just not to have enough resources to buy the food that you want to distribute. That is why we are partnering with you, and we are here right now coming to Canadians to say this is the moment that we need to get food in there while we still can. We need to let these people know that God loves them. The world sees them. He sees what's going on in their life and he cares. Will you be part of answering that need? We can get it to them on the ground very quickly. Just give us a call right now, 1-800-265-3100. You can give online at crossroads.ca/Ukraine. I know, Chad, you said to me you are no longer asking, you are pleading for the help, and we join you in that. Thank you so much for joining us today and for all you are doing, staying there in Ukraine to be the hands and feet of Jesus and make a difference for people that are so desperate and in so much pain.